SCH 4C, Lesson 15, Percentage Yield. We're going to start this lesson by looking at Part B, number 1. If 226.1 grams of tin 2 chloride was the actual amount obtained in a reaction for which the theoretical yield was 288 grams, what is the percentage yield? In order to do this question, we need to make use of the formula percentage yield is equal to the actual yield divided by the theoretical yield. Now, in this question, we are told that the actual amount is 226.1 grams and the theoretical yield is 288.0 grams. If we do our math, we will see that this comes out to 78.5. So this means that the percentage yield is 78.5%. Now, we want to move on. We want to move on to question 2. If in an experiment 850 grams of methane, CH4, reacts with 15.9 grams of oxygen gas as shown in the following equation. CH4G plus 2O2G produces CO2G plus 2H2O. Now, number 1, I want to write the unbalanced equation. And it's going to be the CH4 plus O2 produces CO2 plus H2O. Now, from there, we want to write down the balanced equation. CH4 plus 2O2 produces CO2 plus 2H2O. Now, we should make sure we keep our gas, so we'll put our G's here. All right, now, the first thing you want to do then after that is to write down or to determine the limiting reagent. So I'm just going to put out here limiting reagent so we know what we're doing. And this was the balanced equation. And this was the unbalanced equation. Okay, now we want to take the molar mass of CH4, and that's going to be 12 plus 4 times 1 to equal 16 grams per mole. For oxygen, it's 2 times 16. Now I'm doing this from the unbalanced, just to point that out. So O2 is 2 times 16, which is 32 grams per mole. So the number of CH4 is equal to 8.50, which which is given in the question, divided by 16 from here, and that's equal to 0.53. Now, so for O2, it is 15.9 divided by 32, which is 0.497. So from here, we see that oxygen is our limiting reagent. Okay, now, one more thing we want to note. So from equation 2, we have the 2 mole of O2 to 1 mole of CH4. And O2 is our limiting reagent. Okay, so for number 4 now, what we want to do is we have .5 mole from here of O2 produces how many mole of CO2? Well, from our balanced equation, we have a 2 to 1 ratio. So we have a 2 to 1 ratio. So that means that if we have 0.5 mole of O2, we have 0.25 mole of CO2. Okay, so now the theoretical yield is 0.25 mole of CO2 at 44 grams per mole will produce 11 grams of CO2. So from there, the percentage yield is equal to the actual yield divided by the theoretical yield just to keep these straight. The actual yield we found to be 9.77 from the question, I believe. And the theoretical yield is 11 grams, so our percentage yield is 89%. Okay, so that was a little bit different than what we've seen before, and the problem to watch for here is the unbalanced equation versus the balanced equation. Okay, so if you move into number 3, this one is a case of just applying the formula. So we know that our percentage yield equals the actual yield divided by the theoretical yield. Okay, now we are given that the actual yield is 1.92 grams, the theoretical is 2.8 grams. So if we work this out to a percentage with our calculator, so we have 1.92 divide by 2.84, we get the answer of 0.676, which is 67.6%. And whoops, we have that here in A. Okay, now I want you to try the other questions, and if you have any questions, just get back to me. But I think that if you review the number 2 question, everything kind of is in here. The other thing you might need to do is your excess and your limiting, but we've covered that here as well. All right, so good luck and see you in the next video.